Hey, good morning. It's Wednesday, July 19th, and welcome to Everyday Talk 24/7. Just a quick reminder, we do have Q&A Friday coming up on Friday. Starting to get some questions in, so please send those in because I just love this opportunity. This morning, I'm talking about relationships, and this is primarily today an observation. I'm not even trying to teach something primarily, but just to observe what's going on in our culture about relationships. Because these relationships that we are forming and we're engaged in, if they're not given to the honor and glory of God, they will destroy us. And we see that happening all around us. So here's some basic assumptions about my observations. First is that the Bible is something that is real and we can rely on. It doesn't need verification by outside sources. That's the first assumption. Based upon the Bible's teaching, then, relationships are created. They did not evolve, but they're created by God for a particular purpose and design. That means that with this design, relationships are not meant to be something that we experiment with or are actually culturally specific in terms of its basic form, as many try and lead us to think. And again, I'm not talking that, of course, there are cultural differences, but the core unit of relationships is designed by God for a particular purpose. And there are three tiers to relationships. The first, and this is going from Genesis, based on my assumptions that the Bible is the one place where we can rely on for things that are actually true and reliable. So the first relationship then, in terms of the way that things were done, is the husband-wife relationship. And I'll explain a little more as I go on. The second is a brother-sister relationship. I won't talk about that much this morning, except I am exploring this in my future husband playlist. So if you want to check that out, the brother and sister will be explored there more. And the third is friendship. And this friendship is something that exists when there's not an initial common bond, as with when husband, wife, or brother and sister, son and daughter, but one that is actually chosen between two people. In and of itself, that's not wrong. But when that becomes the cornerstone, as we'll see, that's where the problem is. Hey, Echo, speaking of relationships. So, for relationships to work, they must be grounded and connected in the one flesh relationship. It is this one flesh relationship that God created in Genesis that is the DNA, the relational glue that holds humanity together so they can fulfill the role and purpose that God has called us to do. I'm trying to stick closely to my notes this morning because this is important, and Echo's here to help me with that. So God designed us as humans, and we function best as humans when we do what He created us to do, and that is to occupy and control the earth for His glory. So that's what God has called us to be about. And we see this in Genesis chapter 1, 26 to 28, and chapter 2, 18 to 14, where these relationships are spelled out for us. The one flesh relationship is a bond, it's a connection. This bond is put in place by God so that the husband and wife relationship the husband and wife, man and woman, could complete each other as co-equal image bearers to occupy and govern the world for the glory of God. And as such, there is enormous power here. That connection, that one flesh bond, is incredibly powerful. I'm taking it out of context. Well, we'll see. It becomes unbelievably destructive. So the completed union in this unique one flesh relationship, which is designed by God to be the cornerstone, the foundation of all relationships and human endeavors. See, that in our culture today, that's not believed. But the cornerstone of all human relationships and endeavors and activities is meant to be the one flesh relationship. The one flesh relationship is the calling and is the foundation of all humanity to live in the world as God intended. Again, if we assume this is God's world, then we need to do things in the way that He says they should happen. All human relationships have the one flesh relationship as their anchor. Even if you're not married, your stability and purpose in life flows from the stability that only the one flesh relationship gives. The stability of parents ordering things according to God's plan and direction. So even if we're not married, our stability still flows from that essential one flesh relationship. This is how God made us to function. However, in sharp contrast, our modern culture seeks to build its foundation not on the one flesh relationship of husband and wife, but rather it skips down to the bottom one, friendships. And so our relationships are built upon individual bonds and friendships, which serve the purpose of the two people or more in the friendship. So the loyalty is not to the honor and glory of God, but for what best serves the perceived common good of each person. This on the surface may sound even noble, because it's what we hear all the time. But the result is utter destruction and devastation. See, in this context, with building our societal structure based upon individual friendships and the particular bonds that these two people form, or more, no unity can come, because there isn't common unity. The goals and desires, they're based on the desires and passions of people who form the friendships. So, for example, sexual expression is taken out of the context of marriage, of the biblical one flesh union, and rather, where it's designed to serve God, but rather, it doesn't serve God, but each individual people. The power is still there, but that power has no unifying purpose. If sex is not something which reflects the ultimate power and glory of God, then sex will destroy us. And it is. See, now this power, this relational power, is used only to satisfy the desires of our flesh. And the results, as we see around us, they're not healthy, they're not building, but they tear people apart. So the power destroys rather than unifies. The next level of doing relationships, flowing out of that friendship base, is now the virtual relationship. But the virtual relationship has been around for a while in the form of things like pornography and fantasy literature and thoughts. In this world, everything is self-contained. I don't think I need anybody else. So now, with the use of electronic screens, we have whole communities of people who are existing in a self-contained virtual world, where relationships only consist of what you want. Without the common bond and purpose derived from the one flesh relationship, the culture deteriorates and consumes itself from the inside out. And that's what we see happening. We must value and restore the foundation of the one flesh relationship, the anchor that is there in our thinking and our actions. We must help children see why the one flesh relationship, typified in biblical marriage, is the anchor, the foundation of our very existence. And without it, we will self-destruct. God designed relationships. Using them for any other purpose than his design will leave us to people who are devastated and broken. And that's my observation about relationships. And in a way, all the videos I do here on Everyday Talk 24/7, now almost 1,700 of them, have to do with forming this reality of the one flesh relationship being the center of what we do and building relationships by God's design. Again, I'd love your thoughts and feedback. There's many ways I could run with this, but I just needed to make this observation today. So thank you for watching. Thank you for being here, and Lord willing, we'll see you tomorrow. Don't forget those questions for Q&A Friday. Have a great day. Bye-bye. Thank you for watching. May God richly bless you as you seek to live for His glory.